All right, new edition. That was a band back in, I don't know, 80s or 90s, something like that.
What was it called?
New edition. Subtracting real numbers. All right, this is pretty easy. This should be a review for you guys again. Well, we subtract real numbers. Here's an example of subtracting real numbers. Negative 21 minus 12. So we got two negative numbers. What's the answer?
Negative 33.
Yeah, negative 33. Really easy, right? It's really easy because they're both negatives, so we can subtract them. So in fact, what we're doing, there's a term for this called the opposite of a number. Since we're adding two negatives, here's the term I want you to write down. It's called the additive inverse, which just means the opposite of a number. Okay, the additive inverse is the opposite of a number. All right? So there's two rules, two properties that I want you to write down when we do these. Here are your two properties. Here's the inverse property. Of addition. Inverse property of addition. So, as long as we're talking about real numbers, a plus negative a equals negative a plus a. And both of those equal 0. All right, so the first property, inverse property of addition, tells us that if you add a number and its opposite, and you could go both ways with it, that's why I showed it both ways, the answer is always going to be 0. So an example of that is 5 plus negative 5 would give you 0 as our handy-dandy example. All right? Now for subtracting real numbers, the rule for subtracting real numbers, when we do this, there's a simple rule for us when we subtract real numbers. We add its inverse. Subtract real numbers, add its inverse. We add its inverse. Then we follow the adding rules, and then follow adding rules. I'll give you an example. The adding rules you learned in kindergarten. So algebraically, it looks like this. 3 minus 5 equals 3 plus negative 5, which equals negative 2. Pretty straightforward. All right? Now that we've seen these two rules, here's a question for you. Is the set of integers, that's positive and negative numbers, closed under subtraction? What do you think?
Yeah, because
Is the set, wait, say that again?
well, yeah.
Where integers are positive and negative numbers.
But don't you always just end up adding them?
Yes, so is it closed under subtraction?
No.
We are adding them. If we subtract two integers, will we still get an integer? Answer would be yes. Okay. These are two integers. We're subtracting them, even though we're adding them, and we still get an integer as an answer. So it's closed under subtraction. The set of real numbers is closed under subtraction. Does this also count for all real numbers? The answer would be
Yeah.
is true, because you subtract two real numbers, you'll still get a real number. You'll never get a number that's not real. So just food for thought on that. All right, so let's try one more. Let's do a word problem. All right, this is letter G on page 28 if you want to see it. On January 23rd, 1960, the Trieste dove to record depth of 37,800 feet below sea level. Pretty deep. The record set previously on January 7th of the same year was 13,800 feet less than the dive on January 23rd. What was the record set on January 7th in relation to sea level? Okay, so we got to do a little bit of thinking here. Okay, so the first thing we're told is the Trieste went down this far, 37,800. So it's negative 37,800 feet.
Aren't you just subtracting?
Okay, be careful here. The second record, it says the previous record was 13,800 feet less. That means I need to add 13,800. You tell me the answer to that one. Still going to get a negative number. So since I'm subtracting, I end up subtracting, right? So what would be the answer to this problem? How far deep? The question is, how deep was the first record?
Negative 24,000.
So negative 24,000 feet. Make sure you label it. Okay. You can think of below sea level as a negative number. Okay, does that make sense? I think you guys are ready to rock and roll on that, so it should be good. Nice work.